protect civil liberties and empower American Muslims, and especially empower students. And I hope the information that we give you today will help you to empower. And we also build coalitions that promote justice and mutual understanding. Now, what we'll cover today, we're going to talk about civil rights. We're going to talk about what that is. We're going to talk about what you should know as a student, or your rights as a student. And we're going to also talk about bullying, what bullying is and how you can work to avoid it. So what are civil rights and where do they come from? Well, civil rights come from a variety of sources. One, they come from the Constitution. They come from certain amendments in the Constitution. They are part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and many other sources, both in the state and here. So your rights are protected under the law, and your rights not to be bullied are protected under the law. But we have to learn how to advocate for our rights, and if you don't stand up for your rights, you'll lose them. So do you have rights at school? How many believe you have rights at school? You don't believe you have rights at school? You have rights at school, just so you know that that you are protected at school under the law. In Texas, we have a diversity of religious beliefs. There's over 13 million Texans who identify as being religious. Over 50 different faiths, Protestant, Catholic, Muslim, Jewish, etc., or no faith at all, and all are free to follow their conscience. So you have a right to practice your faith and to follow your conscience under the law and according to our own belief system. So as students, you have the right to wear religious clothing. You have the right to inform others about your religion or your political views. You have the right to form extracurricular student groups like an MSA, Muslim Student Association. You have the right to pray and organize student-led prayers. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't know because I get questions from Christians who don't understand that prayer was not taken out of the school. The difference is your parents, your teachers, your principal, etc., cannot lead any prayers. But if you as a student say, I need to pray, then the school is obligated to make reasonable accommodations for your prayer. So you can pray. I got a call from a group in San Diego several years ago, and they were all upset and in arms talking about the Muslim, because all the Muslim kids in school, we pray 5 times a day, and they're there doing the Dhuhr prayer. So I got a call, and they said, well, what do you think if suppose the Christians want to pray? I said, well, I hope that they do. I say, given the nature of the schools these days, everybody ought to be praying. So inshallah, you know, the thing is, as a Muslim, you have the right to pray at school. Now, you don't pray for an hour or two, but you go make your prayer and you go back to class. And you may have the right to attend Friday prayers, to attend Juma. Now, when I say may, it's because many schools have regulations where nobody is supposed to leave the school. So parents, if you want your students to attend Juma prayer, talk to the school officials and make sure that you get that. Don't ever take it for granted. Always communicate with your principal, with your school officials, etc., before you do anything. I know parents that want to take their kids on Hajj, and it's okay, but you better communicate first, because there's a certain number of days they can't miss. And I had one right here in Dallas. I had a parent that actually did communicate with the school, and then the school told them that we're going to hold their kids back once they came back. So we really have to make it clear what we're talking about. You have the right to be excused from school for religious holidays like Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, etc. You can, but again, communicate to the school we try to send information to the school systems to kind of like get ahead of it. So when we know that Muslims are going to be celebrating a certain holiday, we try to get ahead of it by sending it to DISD, Irving School System, etc., so that everybody is aware of what's going on. You have a right to a non-hostile learning environment. And you definitely have a right not to be free of being bullied. Now, how many of you all know what bullying is? You don't? How many know? Raise your hand. How many know? How many of you have been bullied? Okay, we got people who have been bullied. So we're going to talk about that now. And often, parents are the last persons to know that their children have been bullied. So what is bullying? Well, bullying is behavior that is intentional, it's unwanted, it's aggressive, and it's repetitive. Now, how many of you believe that I've ever been bullied? Oh yeah, I grew up, I was in kindergarten. My first experience with being bullied, I was in kindergarten, and I would walk home from school, and this kid, for no reason at all, must have been a third grader. I was a kid, and he would just come out one day and just wanted to beat me up. Every day I got bullied, and it got so common that the kid would come out and say, "Are you ready?" He said, "Are you ready?" And I wasn't ready, and I was scared. So every day, so one day he came out and he was going to bully me, and I ran home. And as I was running home, my uncle came out of the house, and my uncle says, "Where are you running?" And I told him, and he said, "Well, if you run home tomorrow," he said, "you're going to have to fight me when you get here." And so he showed me how to box and all that. Now, that was a different time. So, you know, I don't know that you can do that now, but at that time, we were taught to defend ourselves. So he said, he told me what to do. He gave me some gloves because it was in the wintertime. And the next day that kid came out, he said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yes, I'm ready." And I started fighting that kid, and I never had that problem again. But it was pretty common. I grew up in a pretty rough place that you had to fight during that time. We don't advocate you fighting in school, because what will happen is sometimes you'll be the one that the school punishes. So you can't just fight back in school. You need to let somebody know what's going on. All right? So bullying behaviors are physical. Would involve hitting, pushing, shoving, etc. They're verbal. They're name calling. How many of you have been called names at school? Okay. And it's social. Sometimes people leave you out, like they don't want you to play with them, or they may be at lunch and they'll talk about you bad, etc. So you've been called names? Okay, well, we're going to talk about that. So what is a bully? How many of you are bullies? Are you a bully? Oh my God. All right, now that's not good. So let's talk about it. All right, a bully is someone who purposely tries to hurt others. They make threats, they spread rumors, they attack people physically and verbally, and they exclude people from the group, like they don't want you in the group. That's a way of bullying you. One of the things that you may experience that I never experienced, because we didn't have any cyberbullying. Does anybody know what cyberbullying is? What? Somebody tell me what is it? They're bullying you online. See, she's on top of it. What's that? It's online bullying. That people, one of the worst things that happens today with kids is that you'll be bullied online, and people get really depressed from being bullied online. So parents, beware of those types of situations, because your kid may not say anything, but they'll just be, it's really depressing when people are talking about you online. I don't like people talking about me online, but I've learned to get over it. But they'll steal passwords, they spam, they impersonate other folks. in a way of bullying you online. So that's something that we have to be aware of. That didn't happen when I was a kid, because we didn't have computers. We just got bullied at school physically and verbally, but we didn't have cyberbullying. So some of the problems that Muslim students face: misinformation about Islam, insulting comments about Islam, pressure to convert to another religion. And I'm going to share an experience that I had as a ED. There was one of my clients. I had a father show up in my office unannounced. I mean, we rarely get people coming to the office unannounced. He shows up and he brings a typewritten letter that his 8th grade daughter got from her teacher, telling her to leave Islam, marry a Christian, et cetera, et cetera. And he didn't know what to do. And I told him, I said, well, brother, if that was my daughter, I wouldn't be in this office. I'd be down at that school. And when I left, somebody else going to leave with me. See, so parents, we want you to take this serious. That's not something I could do. I mean, if I was teaching school, can you imagine me telling somebody's kid to leave Christianity, marry a Muslim, etc.? I mean, it was a typewritten letter. Couldn't believe it. It was hard to believe that that happened. So we contacted, and you can't be timid when it comes to your kids. You have to advocate for them. I'm gonna express that over and over and over, that it is the child may not have the wherewithal to deal with this situation. You have to help them, and it's challenging because they often won't even tell you that it's happening. So they also pulling off headscarves or kufis or other physical abuse. So what does anti-Muslim bullying look like? Jokes about bombs or being a terrorist, insults, they call you all kind of names, and then Muslim students begin to internalize this. And as young kids internalize it, there are several things that happen to them as well. So you need to learn the signs, parents. Learn the signs of when your child is being bullied. Sometimes it'll be obvious. There's cuts, bruises, missing backpack, books, electronics. Bullies will take things from the kids. They're more quiet than usual, which that in and of itself, either they're sick or something's wrong, because kids are not normally necessarily quiet. They may want to skip school, or they may skip school. Their grades are declined. They have low self-esteem. They feel sick often and anxious about the thought of going to school. And also they can be depressed or have exhibits of sudden anger. Additionally, Muslim children may be struggling with their own identity, their own religious identity. They may not want to hang out with other Muslims because they're struggling with their identity. They want to escape from being a target, so they don't want to hang out with people that identify as Muslim. They may not want their immigrant parents, people who have recently immigrated. Some of the kids don't want their parents to come because that shows who they are, and they're struggling with their identity. And it's important for us parents to understand that they may not necessarily want to reject their identity, but they're under a lot of pressure to fit in, that they want to be quote-unquote American, whatever that means. And so you'll find that those are some of the issues. And so we have to really gently massage our children's ego and their personalities and et cetera, and make sure that they are supported, because they'll do this stuff in silence and you won't even know about it until it has advanced. So it's almost like a disease that you have to catch it in the early stages to help your child to deal with these issues. And this is real for them. So when it comes to bullying of Muslim students, the offenders is equally likely to be a teacher or administrator. Just like the example that I just gave you a minute ago, that this is not uncommon, that teachers and administrators do these types of things. And when it does, parents, please take this seriously. Don't feel shy. Don't be timid. Be respectful, but you be direct. When you go to the school and you find out that this has happened, right away report it. Don't put it off. Don't say, he probably didn't mean it, anything, or she didn't mean it. Make sure that you go to the school and you take these issues seriously. I have 4 sons, and I used to visit their schools until they got out of high school. I visited on my own. I would make a visit. Now, I know today they don't even like you coming to the school. They have all kind of regulations about going into the classroom and you'll disturb the teacher. And they used to try that with me, and I would tell them, well, I'm just here to observe the educational process. I'm not here to talk to the teacher. But I came so much that they came to know me, and they said, oh, Mr. Carroll is here today. Mr. Carroll, can we bring all the teachers to the library so you don't have to go all over the school? So they would bring all my son's teachers to the library, and we'd have our conference, and I just checked to see how they were doing. What does that do? That lets them know that you're an active parent, that you're there, and that you're kind of heading off any misunderstandings early on, because now they'll be used to seeing you, and they'll know that your child is protected and that you're not going to tolerate any foolishness. So what should students do if you're bullied? What should you all do if you're bullied? Who are you going to tell? Tell who? Tell your parents. I know that's not something you like to do, but that's something that's very important, and especially if it's happening from a teacher or administrator. If the teacher is calling you names, or if the teacher is making fun of you, if the teacher maligns you against the class, you need to let your parents know what's going on so they can come up and talk to the teacher. It's not your job in that way, because you may not have the wherewithal to do it. So make sure that your parents know what's going on. So parents, what to do if your students' rights are violated? Number 1, file a grievance. Be prompt. Most districts require filing a grievance within 10 to 15 days of the incident. Submit in writing. Let's see, am I coordinating this thing? Yeah. Submit in writing to the principal's office. Follow up. Your principal has a fixed time, about a week or 2, to respond to your grievance. Check the school's policy and follow up with them. And if the principal doesn't respond adequately, then take it to the next level. Go to the superintendent, etc. Don't let it rest. So what should students do? Again, tell your parents. Document it. What does that mean, to document it? Anybody? What does it mean when I say document it? Write it down. Write down what happened, and then parents, you report it to administration, and again, you must be the advocate for your children. Did I? I got a copy of that? Okay. Did I go backwards? Oh, okay. Yeah. So the question is, what can you do? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. Now, if you're the target of bullying, don't ignore it. You have to stand up. Students, you have to stand up and speak out. Don't fight back. Again, if you fight back physically, then you might be the one expelled or might be the one punished. Relocate, go to a safe place if you can, hang out with other people that you trust, and then save any evidence of it, and especially tell an adult, namely your parents, your teachers, etc., and then allow them the opportunity to deal with it. Okay, all right. I keep saying tell your parents, tell your parents, tell your parents, but also call us, call CAIR. If it gets to the point that you need help, don't feel shy about calling us. I have gone to many schools to deal with issues with schools and children and parents, and I go with the parent. I have no problem with doing that, and we have no problem with doing it. So call us if we can help you, if you need our help, if you're feeling shy about going or something. I'm not shy. So feel free to call us, and we'll go and we'll represent you or represent with you. Now, if you're a bystander, what does it mean to be a bystander? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you're just watching it. If you're standing there watching it, what should you do? Speak out. Say, leave them alone. Don't mess with them, right? And then help the person get away. Tell an adult. Yes, sir. There you go. He said, if you see something, say something. Very good. I like that. And be a good example. Don't be a bully yourself. Don't be a bully yourself. All right? And don't let it happen to others. Very good. All right. So here's the deal. Most kids will never tell their parents. Why? Because if they tell their parents, they feel like, especially with the boys, I got 4 of them, so I know. They won't tell you anything because they don't want to look weak. They don't want to look like they're a tattletale or a snitch. So they're not going to tell you. They'll just take the abuse just to save face. But in the meantime, they're not really saving face. And that can escalate to something else. So you really have to encourage, especially young, I'm from my experience, now I don't know, girls may be a little different. I didn't have any daughters. I didn't have any sisters. I'm just now getting to the point where women are starting to be born into my family. I got 2 granddaughters and 2 great-granddaughters. So I'm learning a lot that I didn't know before. So anyway, some of the reason is that the kids may feel like the parents won't understand. They don't think that we understand bullying, because we've survived it. And then they feel like we'll make it worse. It'll just get worse because people say, oh, he had to go get his mama to tell him, right? That's what they do in school. They'll talk, oh, yeah, you're just a little weakling. And then if they internalize it, they'll say, I probably deserved it, which is even worse because you didn't deserve to be bullied at any time. You should never be bullied. So some of the do's and don'ts if you're bullied: do report it to a teacher or other trusted adults. Do let your parents know. Don't feel ashamed or embarrassed. It's not your fault. And don't retaliate with violence or name calling. Now, I know those are tough ones to do because sometimes we just want to retaliate, but those are some of the things. Now, I got a couple of helpful scenarios. I'm going to see if you all been listening. All right, we're going to do this as a little test. All right, scenario 1. Orange has been calling Blue mean names for the past month and won't stop. What should Blue do? Yes, ma'am. Tell your parents, tell an adult, she said. Yes, sir. He should have told the parents the first time. So that's a good one. Excellent. Very good. All right. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Do what? Say something. Okay, very good. Okay, another scene. Here's another scene. All right, scenario 2. Orange says that he will beat up Blue if he doesn't give him his lunch or lunch money. What should Blue do? Please don't say give him the lunch money. No, I'm just kidding. Look, that happened to me. This is real. I grew up around gangsters. And this kid comes up to me and he said, give me your lunch money. I said, no, I don't have any. I won't have lunch. He wanted it anyway. So unfortunately, I got into a fight. That was a different time. That's not now. Now you have to tell people. All right, in them days, you fought it out and that was the end of it. So what should Blue do, young lady? What should Blue do? What? Tell the teacher. Yes, sir. Do what? Yeah, tell it to an adult. Excellent. All right. Here we go with scenario 3. Here's a good one. Green sees Orange being made fun and left out by a group of Blues. All right. What should Orange do? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm up here looking at mine. All right, thanks for telling me. I'm going to get this side of the room. I don't think I got, let me get somebody. Did somebody see some hands over here? Okay, what should Orange do? Yes, absolutely. What else? What's that now? I can't hear you. Excellent. So, okay, very good. So oranges should be supportive and or green should be supportive and help orange get away, go into a group and guide it. Yes, ma'am. What's that? I can't hear you. What did she say? Why did orange do what? Oh, why did orange want to be in the group? Oh, I don't know. I don't know if orange wanted to be in the group or not, but they didn't want him or her in the group. So if they don't want you in the group, what you're saying is she shouldn't even want to be in the group. Is that what you're saying? Oh, why did orange want to be in the blue group? Because that's orange's right to want to be in the blue group, but what should orange do? Find another group? Yeah, that's what green should help orange do, is to find another group. Very good. All right, does everybody get what I'm saying? Does everybody understand? Say yes. All right, okay. Now, reminders, bullying comes in all forms, should never be tolerated by youth, parents, or the school. Students should not cut themselves off and feel like they must handle bullying by themselves. Don't think that you're alone in this. Make sure you use your parents. I know you may not want to do that, but that's the most important thing to do. And then contact CAIR if you have any additional problems. If you can't resolve it yourself, please feel free to contact us. So we want to help create a world without bullying, so we need to be the change and lead the change. All right? So that's it. I'm ready for any questions that you might have. Parents, feel free to ask, answer. Yes, sir. What's that? Yeah, that's me. That's me at a meeting. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Stand up so I can hear you, sweetie. Oh, why didn't orange stand up for the blue? Well, that's what we want orange. Well, orange was the target. Orange wasn't the one. Orange was the target, and green was supposed to help orange. Oh. Okay. Yes, sir. If orange was being beat up by the blue, why would orange want to be in the group? I didn't know I was going to get all these questions about orange and blue. Okay, yeah, you're right. I don't know why. I don't know why. I know if I was orange, I wouldn't want to be in the blue group. Did I miss somebody? Yes, sir. He was with what? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. He was bigger than you. Okay. Oh, and a bystander help you. Oh, that's good. Now that's what we're talking about. He said there was a kid that was wanting to beat you up, right? And he said he could have fought him, but he was bigger than him. So the kid was bigger than him, so a bystander helped him. So that's what we're talking about. Don't allow people to be bullied. Any questions, parents? Who is that? Did I hear somebody? Yes, ma'am. Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, I think, let me see if I got your question right. I had said don't fight back, but what if the kid pushes or whatever? Yeah, you, I can't hear him. Right, right. Well, the reason that I say it is because even when my kids were in school, what happens is when there's a fight, they take both of the kids to the office and they just expel both of them or suspend them. And the probability that the person who really started the fight, who was the one doing the bullying, I guess they punish them both equally, but it's not fair in my eyes that they punish both of them. And then they don't take for granted that any of the kids are going to tell the truth. And so, you know, I'm going to leave it. I know I come from a family of the wish. We operate on the wish principle. And our principle was we wish somebody would start something. So my parents raised us not to start a fight, but not to back down. I can't tell you all that, all right? I'm telling you what I know will happen at the school, but my mother, I'm gonna give you an example. When I was like, I think 7 or 8 years old, my brother got into a fight, not at school, but in the neighborhood. My brother tried to run in the house. My mother comes to the door and she says, "Oh no, I'm not raising any cowards, get back out there." And told him to get back out there and fight, and she pointed at me and said, "And you better not let him get beat up." So it's different schools of thought on that. I mean, that's a different time, but I'm just saying what, and I saw another hand. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's.
Thank you for doing this. I grew up in post 9/11 in Boston, so I've seen a few things in my time. Oh, that's loud. So what should kids say, especially from my own experience back there, where we would be asked, when, especially with political climates the way they are right now, kids get asked questions like, what do you think? Like, we would be asked, like, what do you think about the planes that hit, or do you support this? And I know kids now, especially the older kids, may be getting questions like, what is your thoughts on, you know, Israel and Palestine? So how should kids respond to be, you know, aware, get their points across, but also not get in trouble?
You're right. Well, it gets real touchy with kids because, you know, it's a lot of emotions, even with the adults. Right now, you know, it's one of those highly volatile issues. The best thing is to have an opinion. I mean, they're actually protected. They can have their political views. They can express them. But time, place, and situation has a lot to do with the way that you express it. If you come across somebody who's asking you a question just to get into an argument or a fight, then it's best that maybe you avoid answering that question. You know, but there's a time and there's a place for everything. And I think it's incumbent on us whenever possible is to educate the school and the principals and the teachers, et cetera, on what's going on and how that affects our kids. If we can get ahead of that. Because the kids in general, what I've seen and what I know happens is that it's a very emotional issue either way it goes. And so you don't want your kid getting into some serious altercation because they answered the question, because there's a lot of angst around it, to say that. I hope that makes some sense. But I would try to tell them to avoid getting into a fight over that question because it's highly emotional. I mean, I'm leaving here and going to a rally after I leave here. So inshallah, you know, we just have to watch out for that. What did the governor do now? Oh, okay. The governor wants to teach about Hamas and okay. Maybe we should do something. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. I have another question.
Okay.
So I know it's about bullying and other things, but I also want to know like how you can, like younger kids, you talk in a different manner, and the older kids, you talk in a different manner. So as a parent, how do we actually target different age groups about the issues, and how do we speak to them?
Yeah, well, you have to definitely. You want to simplify it on all levels. You want to make sure that you break it down so that they can explain it in a simplified way. You know, my experience, whether it be adults or kids, especially younger kids, you say no. You tell them the basic fundamentals of it. As they grow older, you may get into other, to get into some of the minutia around an issue. But you have to actually make sure in any case that it's simplified enough that they can explain it and they can understand it. And I've had my son, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. My second son, when he was in first grade, they were having, and this comes from education at home before they go to school. All right, that's the best place. And he came home one day and he said, "Pop, they're going to be having a Christmas party tomorrow at school." So I asked him, I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He said, "Well, Pop, we Muslims." I said, "Okay, well, you go to the school and you explain that." And he did. He went to the school and he told his teacher, he said, "Miss Johnson, I won't be here tomorrow because I'm a Muslim. We don't celebrate Christmas." Well, right away, all the kids started laughing. And then he told him, he said, "Well, I don't know what's so funny. That just means we believe in one God." So we have to equip them with certain information. But in terms of this Palestinian-Israeli issue, it can get convoluted, and you have to simplify it on different levels. Even for adults, you have to simplify it. I mean, the majority of American people don't have a clue what's going on in Palestine and Israel. Why? Because the media has only talked about one side of the issue. That's one thing. And they don't even know where Palestine is. I mean, they think it's in Texas. They think about Palestine, Texas. You know, so we have to reach people where they're at, and that also is the same with your children. You have to, now you got some children at young ages who are mature beyond their years, and you have to reach them where they're at and teach them, by that. I hope this makes sense. But you have to reach them where they're at, because I had sons, I got one I can whisper to, one I can nudge, and one of them I have to just get a bat or something, because their understanding is different. Okay, I see you. Okay, did I answer your question? Okay, good. Wait, somebody, I think there was, yes. What did he say? Anti-bully month. No, I don't know if it's anti-bullying. Oh, it's anti-bully month. Okay, well, I didn't know that. Thank you for that information. Okay, go ahead. Does the same rules apply when? With street bullies, not school bullies? Oh, you mean with street bullying? You like when you're at home or you're out playing at the playground? You always should tell your parents, even if it's at home, in the street, or wherever. Yeah, so the rules may not apply to tell your teacher unless it's connected to the school. But you should definitely tell your parents at all times. Okay. What if you get into a fist fight? A street fight? Well, I don't know the difference. If you get into a street fight, you better win. No, I'm just kidding. No, you should tell your parents. Try to tell your parents. I know you have a right to defend yourself. I can't tell you to do that. Talk to your folks, and your parents will tell you what you need to do. I can tell you what'll happen at school if you do that. I don't want you to get hurt, because this is serious business today, especially as you get into those adolescent ages. Kids have been seriously injured or hurt beyond repair. So you can't just say, go fight. When I was a kid, you know, you could fight, and if you fought them, that would be the end of it. Nowadays, you don't know that. And if they have gangs and this type of thing, you got a lot of intricate things that are happening today that didn't happen years ago. So there was a different understanding. Okay.
Question that come from online that for girls, right, wearing hijab. So now people are seeing Palestinians, they're seeing people wearing hijab, they might see that negative, right? How do they respond?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Well, you got some real serious questions. They're talking about young girls wearing hijabs. You know, this is a part of your identity. And this is where people struggle, and especially the girls. What I found is that the women have less problem with the identity than the men in general. I mean, now young girls might be a little different because they're still trying to fit in. But what I've seen in the Muslim community, as the women will wear it as their badge of honor and not be so intimidated by it. But we do have some adults even that have issues. Yes, sir. You. Go ahead, bruh. Wa alaikum salam.
So the question is about this recent press note by the governor of Texas,
Wait a minute.
whereby the question is any consideration CIR have they would talk at like a community level, or there are some people they would arrange the Dallas chapter or Houston, Austin for that matter, to talk to schools or district, for example, ISD, and tell them that why they are initiating such. So the governor released, you might know, governor sent a press note or release that that Texas, state of Texas stands with Israel. And this issue, and there is a 3 or 4 different initiatives that school at all level, I don't know what level, maybe high school, to have this discussion in the class. And there are a couple of already happened in our Hebron High School. My kids told me they are in high school. So question is, can you consideration or would CIR would arrange some local community level that, for example, parents would go talk to the school principal or ISD that why they are initiating such a sensitive topic, a level where kids usually would get more emotional. And it could, because America's land for everyone, being Muslim, being human, I have a commitment to improve the conditions of the land, not to divide people. So is there a CIA I'm sorry if I'm saying the CIR right? So should that be something like that, that parents go talk that why we are doing this, other than improve, training kids, to answer this question individually?
Yeah, I think the parents are critical on this, but there's another part to that. I think this is where political activism gets in. That it's better that we have a concerted effort to actually to deal with this stuff at the state level. This is not a topic that I think should be talked about in school. I really don't, because I don't think anybody can do it justice. And I'm seeing that even at the city. I was in the city council of Dallas just passed a resolution the same way, and they voted 14-0 to stand with Israel. Well, we went down, at least there was 100 Muslims and Palestinians that went to that city council meeting knowing, I knew at least, I don't know if everybody else knew, but I knew that they had already made up their mind to pass it. So we were just having an exercise in futility, but guess what? I also know that when the next election cycle comes around, I know who I'm gonna vote for. I know what we're gonna do there. And I think that it's high time that the Muslim community itself start to take positions and stop. Don't take positions on whether they're Democrat, Republican, Independent. Take position on the issue. And those people that support your community, I mean really support it. I'm not talking about salam alaikum, how you doing? That doesn't mean anything to me. But if they're supporting your community, then that's where you put your support, and you make sure that they're supporting it. Because let me explain how it happens in other communities. Can you imagine them, why wouldn't they even say anything about the Palestinians? Because the Jewish community is politically active. They don't just vote. I was in D.C. one year. I go to D.C. every year to do outreach to our congressman. When I got there, we were doing outreach at the same time AIPAC was there. I went into Keith Ellison's office, who was serving in Congress at that time, and Keith said, look, do what you do and keep doing more of it, he said, because I can count down to the day when AIPAC's gonna be in my office. Who is AIPAC? High school students and retired folks. Not high-powered lawyers, not lobbyists. Well, they were lobbyists, but they were just common, everyday Jewish folks. We got to get that same mentality. We can't let things happen. We have to get ahead of it. And we have to have a concerted effort to make sure, because see, this issue that you're talking about with Abbott, we can deal with that in a better way. And not to put it on a parent to try to explain to a teacher after Abbott already has passed a resolution. We got to get ahead of this. So I hope, I didn't mean to get too political in here, but we have to talk about that, because that's the only way we're going to deal with it. These people are trying to show, they're playing politics. That's what that's for. That's to show that they know that their votes and their monies come from that community. Don't give them any money. Let me say that right now. Do not give politicians money. That's not the way you do it. Make sure that you have votes, because they are watching the votes. And make sure, if you're going to give somebody money, it's because you know that they're going to do what you ask them to do. All right? Sorry, but I'm sorry to go off on that. Yes, somebody had a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Who was it?
Yeah.
Yes. What's that now?
What happens if you get bullied in school, but you're not like an ISD?
Well, what school are you talking about? You mean a private school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's the same thing. You have a right under the Constitution, under the law, not to be bullied. So if you're in a private school and they're bullying you, you still have a right.
But what if they don't do anything?
What's that?
What if they don't do anything?
Well, then you take it to a higher authority.
Mm-hmm.
If that school won't do anything, like I just said, if the principal won't do it, take it to the superintendent. Superintendent won't do it, then your parents have to jump in there. In fact, your parents should be in the mix when that happens. And there are legal remedies for schools who allow things to happen. You're not supposed to be bullied under any situation in this country, and especially in a school. So if that's happening in a private school, it shouldn't be happening there either. Make sure that your parents are aware of it, and parents, you have to take this thing serious. If you don't take it serious, you're allowing your child to put themselves in a precarious situation. That's how fights cut out, that's how people get hurt, etc. So you have to stand up. I just want to share this with the parents. My granddaughter, one of my granddaughters, was getting threats that she was going to get beat up for no apparent reason. So I called the school. Now my son, everybody's at work, so I don't know why I have to do all this. But I'm helping my kids out because everybody's at work. I called the school and I said, hey, my granddaughter's been threatened. I don't want anybody to touch her at all. And they said, oh yeah, of course, we understand. I said, yes, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want her coming back telling me it happened. I want you all to make sure that you take care of it. And there's nothing wrong with being firm when you talk to them. You don't have to be belligerent, you don't have to be ugly, but you have to be firm. Yes, sir.
So this is a little bit off topic, but where are you going to go to the protest?
What's that now?
Like, what protest are you going to go to?
I can't make up a list.
What protest are you going to go to?
Oh, with protests? Mm-hmm. We're having a rally downtown at City Hall at 2 o'clock today to support the Palestinians and to ask for a ceasefire because they're massacring those folks right now. So we're asking for it. We're going to have a rally and a march. We hope, and we've asked the police to be there. So if you come down and you see police, it's because we asked for it. I was on the phone with the police department, or with the detective before I came in here, to assure that they had peppered police all throughout the crowd, so we don't. And to tell you the truth, we have to watch out for some of our folks. So I hate to say that we have to guard ourselves against the Muslim community. So.
Let's take a last question.
Okay, last question. What is
Fundraising called APAC.
what's that?
Fundraising for APAC.
For APAC?
Yeah, he said that he had a school, in the school they had.
They were doing fundraising at the school for APAC? Really? That's different. I would bring that up, parents. They having fundraising. Is it a public school? Is the public school doing fundraising for APAC? That doesn't sound right. Yeah, no, we need to talk about it. Let your parents know, because we need to talk about it. Let us know if it's something that's going on like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before you leave, thank you so much. Can you give one tip to children that are not perhaps feeling the bullying, but we're seeing an increase in microaggressions? We're seeing a lot of increase in microaggressions, so the school won't take any action because it's not bullying or it's borderline bullying. So kids are seeing comments about race, skin color, subtle comments about, religion. So if you had to give a tip to the children on how to verbally respond to something like that, that would be a really helpful takeaway.
Well, that's actually macroaggressions. Yeah, it's not really micro.
And when they pile
Micro
up,
is,
yeah.
Micro would be like rolling your eyes or something.
Yeah.
But if they're calling names and that type of thing, that is serious. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm talking about even like subtler comments that kids will not tell the teacher or the parent. So things that are happening, daily conversations like, oh, you're Muslim, that's interesting. Googling what Muslims look like. Oh, is this how Muslims look like? And showing them the computer screen with some, discriminate pictures of Muslims. So like very subtle things that are happening, but putting the children in a position where they are questioning their identity. I guess what I'm asking for is, how can the child respond in a situation like that? What is the correct response, even before involving a parent or a teacher?
Well, the thing about it is that, it depends on the age of the child. I mean, I don't think you'll have that kind of subtlety at a young age, but probably when you get to the adolescence and teenage years,
Middle school, high school.
then they're smart enough to make those kinds of subtle things. I had one incident fairly similar where they had even written in the book. I don't know if you remember Dante. I forgot the name of the book. I read it years ago. I read it before I knew what they were saying. But the Muslim kids were being real critical of the things that they read, and so they were able to decipher what was being said. But it's a lot more complicated in that situation you're talking about. It's a bit more complicated. So it's going to take some talking to them and explaining and having some conversation with your child. Because it's a little more complicated when you get into these subtle microaggressions, micro communication. Look at what I saw in the paper, that Muslims are blowing stuff up, blah, 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 that type of thing. And the child could respond and say, well, not all Muslims are blowing things up. Not all Muslims. The Klan did more damage here in this country than anything that we can talk about. Otherwise, is this making any sense at all?
It is, yeah. I think it'd be really helpful if children could hear from you about how, because we are living in very sensitive times, it's very imperative that they weigh what they're going to say in response. And if they don't have the right response, it's probably best to ignore the comment. And I think, that point needs to be reiterated.
Yeah, sometimes it's just best not to say anything if you don't have the right response, because you don't want to make the response worse. But that's something we have to train our kids to do. What words? Well, if somebody blew something up or if somebody killed somebody, that's in the case that it's a fact. It's a fact, but that's not something that everybody should have that stereotype. And so we have to teach kids how to say that. Say, look, yeah, that happened, but that happens within all religions, all races, etc. That's one way of diffusing it. And they can't deny that because it does. And so I think letting them, having an understanding of society, period, of any social order, any society, any race, any religion, you have people who do bad things. The problem is if you're a religious minority or ethnic minority in this country, those things they try to put on the group as a behavior that is endemic to that group only. So talking to our kids about that those things happen in all groups, but that is no way a reflection of the entire group. And I think that's a way of diffusing it and a way of answering it. And that's the way I would answer it, even if I'm an adult. Okay, yeah, a Muslim killed so-and-so, but that's not endemic of the entire group. Or a Muslim did so-and-so, because people point to those things. And since, we've had the experience in both ethnic minorities or religious minorities, that this is pretty common. And a lot of the information that these kids are getting and the things that they say come from their adults, come from their parents. So I hope that makes some sense.
Thank you. Thank you.
Huh?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. He's been raising his hand.
I never answered that question. So in my example, I never answered. I was asked those questions. I answered in a way nobody ever asked me that question ever again. So I think there's a lot in our community. So these are good conversations, and I think we should continue to have these. This was a great presentation, but I think as people are asking these questions, there are a lot of elders here who have dealt with that in the past and who have had come out of it. So we are stronger for this, but we can help others, the people who are afterwards, deal with those. So these are individual situations, and we can probably have those conversations with individual situations.
So it's time for dismissal. Before we dismiss, a few words. So first of all, I want to thank Brother Mustafa for coming and giving their presentation. Loud salawat for him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I know some of the parents may have some private questions for him, so he'll be here. So he'll be here for a few minutes if you want to come and ask a one-on-one question. One thing I want to leave with you is at the end, Brother Mustafa said that if you're getting into a situation at school, and this is important for the parents, that you're getting into a situation and it's hard to control, then call Brother Mustafa, right? Call the CAIR group so they can come and be the voice for you. Because one of the things that we face, that we don't have a voice, right? We may feel alone in the school, we don't have a voice, okay? Brother Mustafa, the CAIR organization is the voice. Don't be afraid to call him and saying, okay, I need someone to come with me and talk to the teacher, or talk to the principal, or talk to the school board. He can help you do that. And that is really, really important, and that's the main reason. So before we dismiss, so kids, we're going to dismiss by the classes, okay? Level 1, I want you to go back to your classroom with your teacher. Level 1, go back to your classroom for your lunch. Okay, level 2, I want you to go back to your classrooms for your lunch. Level 2, go back to your classroom for lunch. Level 3, I want you to go back to your classroom for lunch. Level 3, back to your classroom for lunch. Level 4, go into your classroom for lunch. Go into your classroom for lunch. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 can go into the main hall for lunch. Okay? Yeah, please. He's open. So again, Brother Mustafa is here in the main hall. If you have questions, please come up to him, and he'll be here until 12 o'clock before he has to move to the downtown.